Hello, happy Monday. Today I want to talk about degrees of sickness when you are struggling with your relationship with food. So I gotta move my jacket out of the way so I'm not brushing against the microphone. Just because you're not as bad as others doesn't mean you are okay. So I have a history of disordered eating. If you guys are new here, I've struggled with very restrictive eating, and then I struggled for a very long time with binge eating, and now I consider myself healed. Doesn't mean I don't struggle with things sometimes, but today it's just I want to talk to you guys about just because you're not incredibly thin doesn't mean you're okay. Just because you aren't getting sick doesn't mean you're okay. Just because you haven't had to be hospitalized doesn't mean you're okay. And I don't want to glorify any of those things. Those are nothing to praise. But it's just, there's stereotypes of like what an eating disorder is. And it's usually very thin. And that's the big one. Very thin. It's like obvious. You can tell, like, you don't see people eat. They're over exercising, blah, blah, blah. They might have to go into the hospital because their body is starting to fail them. It doesn't have to be that extreme for you to be in a bad place with your relationship with food or your relationship with your body. So your struggle doesn't have to be extreme to signal that you're in a bad place. You can still be in a really bad place mentally, possibly physically as well, and not show it. You don't physically see it in yourself or in someone else. So I want to be really careful about like what I talk about, but like anorexia, people think you're going to be super skinny. Bulimia, probably the same, but people think less of it. But what bulimia is and how people with bulimia, act, the things they do to purge are so unhealthy, especially if done over a long period of time. But again, those are extreme. But if you are obsessed over your body, your weight, what you're eating, how much you're eating, calories, exercise, if you're obsessing over those things every day, that's not healthy. That's not normal. It shouldn't be normal. If it's normal for you and everyone you're around, it's not normal. It's not how you should be living your life. Living your life should be more enjoyable than that. It shouldn't be something that takes over your days. And if any of these are taking over your thoughts, if they're taking over your life, if they control your decision making, that's not good. It's not normal. It's not okay. So if you are struggling with your relationship with food, your body image, and you're like, I'm not super skinny, I'm not doing any of these extreme things, good, I never want you to get there. But also, I want to be here to encourage you to heal your relationship with food, even if it's like, oh, I'll count calories for the rest of my life. Think about that. Do you really want to do that? Do you want these thoughts and these obsessions and these practices that you've been taking part in? Do you want that? Do you think that's normal? And do you want that to be the rest of your life? I hope not. And I don't want that for you either. I want you to have freedom and joy around food and your body and how you eat and when you eat, and just feel the freedom to enjoy life and enjoy your body and truly be healthy. Be feeding yourself when you're hungry, moving your body in a way that feels good. Because it's so good to be active, but activity and exercise should not be punishment. You shouldn't have to punish yourself for something you ate. It's normal to eat a little too much sometimes. That's normal. It's okay to enjoy desserts and indulge sometimes. That's normal. But it's finding the balance between, people call it like the 80-20 rule. I don't measure anything anymore. Like I don't measure food or anything. But focusing on eating nutrient dense whole foods most of the time, but also allowing yourself to enjoy brownies and ice cream and cheesecake and whatever you may like. It's okay to enjoy things, and you should be allowed to. You shouldn't have yourself in a prison and being a slave to yourself. I don't want that for you, and that's not how I want you to live your life, and I hope that's not how you want to live your life. I mean, think of maybe your daughter or a future daughter or son. I should do an episode on that. It's not just girls who struggle with food and their body image, but your niece, your nephew, someone. Do you want them to be obsessed with food and be controlled by food in their body all the time? I wouldn't think so. So why do you think that's normal for yourself? And I hope you get to a point where you don't think it's normal. Or maybe right now you're listening to this and you're like, I know it's not normal. So if you know it's not normal, maybe I can encourage you to subscribe to this channel or follow this podcast wherever you're either watching or listening, because I want to hopefully encourage you and walk with you along your journey of healing your relationship with food and maybe coming to understand more like, this is not how I want to live my life. God put me on this earth for a reason. I'm here for a reason. I have a purpose, and it is not to be controlled day in and day out by your food and your exercise and your body, what your body looks like. So, sending love to all of you, and just know that you don't have to be extremely thin or extremely extremely thin or extremely sick to not be okay. Even the little things can grow into something big, and I don't want that for anyone.